Yeah, welcome to the kind of performance in marketing spotlight session, Q&A discussion, which we'll be talking about the travel leisure industry. So yeah, my name is Mustafa Mira, senior digital journalist here at PerformanceIN, and yeah, we're going to be sort of spending the next hour or so kind of discussing the travel leisure sector and kind of how that's been impacted by the global pandemic at the moment and sort of the current climate today over the last few weeks. So yeah, so really excited to kind of have 4 exciting panelists with us to kind of share their insight and expertise. And yeah, we'll kind of be touching on the sort of performance marketing aspect in terms of what's been happening with the sector, but also kind of see where kind of practices are kind of sort of been doing, and also kind of what's been shifted from a consumer level, and also kind of just a wider market level as well. And yeah, so yeah, before we kind of kick off, I'm just going to do run through the panel. So yeah, really excited to have you guys on board today. So starting with Colin Carter, Director at Weather to Travel. We also have Eoin Casey, Head of Affiliates at Campsited. We have Lina Slater, Head of Business Development and Display at Travel Supermarket. And lastly, Rob Burgess, Editor at Head for Points. So yeah, thanks for joining in, guys. Yeah, so kind of before I kind of go into these questions, is kind of just kind of spend a couple of minutes kind of just doing maybe a quick introduction to kind of your roles and kind of how it's kind of the last few weeks it's kind of been for your respective practices. So kind of starting with Colin. Yeah, over to you.
Hi there, I'm Colin Carter. I'm one of the founders of weathertotravel.com. We are a travel publisher focused on helping consumers find the best place to go on holiday based on the weather and other criteria that they have. We've been running for just over 15 years, and I look after all operational aspects, including brand relationships and the development team.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, I am head of affiliate for Campsited. We're fairly new to, I suppose, the affiliate circles in terms of the brand, but just to tell about Campsited, Campsited is a online booking platform for campsites. The problem we're trying to solve is that there is no worldwide booking platform for the camping industry, which worldwide we see over 450 million bookings every year, and that's only just within Europe. Myself, I'm heavily involved in the affiliate side, but obviously in a small startup situation, we're obviously across the board executing on all our different multi-channel efforts of marketing, and I'd be quite involved with all of that. For us, obviously, we fit closely to the OTA model, I suppose, and it has been a challenging time for anyone in that space. But we're very lucky that we're I suppose at a scale where we're at now, and we're aggressively growing, and we're lucky that we have strong venture capitalists backing behind us from Motley Fool Ventures. And I suppose if this was ever going to come at a time, it's come at a time where we're allowed to drill down and focus on our product. It's been a tough time for our competitors and for us as well in terms of what we're trying to do and what we wanted to see in 2020. Of course, you've seen the memes going around of my plans for 2020 and what actually happened with 2020. And, I think everyone's had to adapt. And we're in a space where we're trying to adapt it to online anyway. A lot of camping bookers, we try mobilize as much of the industry as possible onto the online booking space, but a large amount of the business is still happening offline. Thus, therein lies the opportunity for online camping booking sites. Yeah, that kind of gives you a summation.
Okay, because I'm Lina Slater, so I head up business development and advertising at Travel Supermarket. So yeah, since COVID has hit us, probably towards the third week of March, we've had a massive, obviously ad spend has completely fallen away, and a lot of our advertisers and brands that we work with have had to adjust to the situation. So we've been pretty much dealing with lots of customers, helping them with cancellations and things like that, as well as sort of just redefining our strategy and how we're going to get through this. situation. So a lot of that has been around how do we, I guess, inform our and give them travel advice. So it's been a lot of switches from sale to actually just supporting the customers on site. We're now starting to see sort of a shift towards, which I think you kind of come on to later, in terms of the staycation market. So that's one of the things that we're also looking at the moment.
Cool, great stuff. And lastly, Rob.
Yeah, Hedgepoints is the UK's biggest frequent flyer news website, do about 1.7 million page views per month. We are fundamentally affiliate and advertising funded. We're generally the biggest content affiliate that we work with. So we're Hilton's biggest content affiliate in the UK, IHG's biggest, British Airways biggest, Virgin Atlantic's biggest. We do a lot of credit cards as well through American Express. It's been odd, to be honest. We employ, well, 4 people, including me, so 3 staff. We are down, I would say, 80% on revenue. But bizarrely, in terms of actual visitors to the site, it's crazy. I mean, March, we were over 2 million page views. May, we'll probably be over 2 million page views, looking at where we're going. Because there's, a huge amount of travel news out there at the moment. Who may go bust, who's seeking rescue funding. And these are more mainstream topics than we usually cover. So in terms of traffic, it's been fantastic. I mean, my biggest concern actually was that we have no readers left at the end of this. But we can't monetize it. So the staff are all on full pay, staff are all working. We just can't really pay the bills. Well, we can pay the bills, but I'm not getting paid at the moment. But it's been good. I mean, what we've actually done is we're pushing forward with a big redesign project because we've got the staff time now. So we're spending about 30 hours a week between us working on a massive site overhaul. The design agency we're using has had all sorts of projects cancelled. So we have a full London design agency working exclusively for us at the moment from home. That's worked out quite well. We're keeping those guys in a job. And we're just, hoping 2 or 3 months' time it all bounces back.
Oh, great stuff. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I'm sure we'll kind of touch on that kind of retouching projects and kind of innovative shifts and stuff later. But yeah, so kind of actually ties in quite nicely to the first question, really. Obviously, the travel industry as a whole has experienced a massive shift over the last few years due to the current climate. Is kind of with changes constantly happening. Kind of how have companies kind of adjusted their performance marketing strategy, or generally their strategies during this time. I will start with Eoin.
Yeah, look, there's obviously been caution across the board. I'm coming at it from an advertiser standpoint, I suppose. At the end of the day, Google, Facebook aren't going to refund companies for the cost of those clicks to your site if the booking season doesn't resume and you have a very high cancellation rate. So the reality of the situation is people do need to protect themselves in terms of where they're investing and how they're investing for media spend. We've been moving heavily towards prioritizing spend in the areas where we know our potential customers are and will be on the back of this. So that is to say that we've become far more focused with our display media, and we're significantly changing how we deal with the affiliate space and how we're talking with our publishers at this time. We're taking individual bespoke approaches with our main affiliate partners and using the short-term activity as part of our long-term plans, which has been able to keep some traffic live on site and get some analytic indications within the data of where the user is at this point in time. Every different sector and every different country will have its own trigger points where the bounce back will begin to happen. We work predominantly in France. It's a 4.5 billion euro industry in France, and we have to keep an eye on things, and we're operating from Ireland. So we have to be very clued in with our French-speaking team about what are the little signifying points that will kick off the booking season again. And we're lucky that we've been in a point to see that. But yeah, we've definitely been able to lean into a model where we, especially within the affiliate side of things, which I control, that there is light at the end of the tunnel for our publishers, and there's definitely plans to roll out. I think across the board, you're going to see companies roll out heavy when the season starts to resume. And I think publishers like Colin and Rob will have an opportunity to really ramp up their income on in the relative short term. So while it has been a difficult time, brands are going to be thirsty for the service that publishers provide in the next couple of months.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks for that, Eoin. Colin, yeah, over to you next on that one.
Yeah, I mean, as a content publisher, I guess, you know, a little bit the same as Rob. You know, the traffic is there, you know, and you know, we're very much in the leisure side of travel, so you know, the holiday market, opposed to business. And we've seen a lot of affiliate programs that close permanently or be paused. There's quite a few merchants who've even reduced commission down to zero, or at least lowered their rates, which is obviously has a knock-on effect. And then obviously things like tenancy are completely off the table at the moment. So the problem that we have currently is that, you know, the revenue from advertising and affiliate just isn't there. So, you know, and as Eoin said, you know, there is an opportunity when the market comes back. The challenge for us is to know what that market looks like, you know, not only in terms of the destinations that people are going to, but also what brands, you know, what are the brands that still exist. So for us, you know, we're taking that view that the traffic will come back. The challenge is probably to really in that short term to kind of short we are as a company, and make sure that we get through that the next few months, because the challenge for any revenue that we get through affiliates, almost all of it won't get paid until the person has travelled. And if people are booking winter 2021 or summer 2021, that doesn't help short-term cash flow as a publisher. So you know, we've got to look at that and see whether we can find partners, brands that we can work with in the short term that actually can help us through the period.
Yeah, Rob. Yeah, just touch on the first question. How are companies adjusting their sort of strategies during this time?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my main concern is just to keep the readers, basically. You know, as long as we come out of this with the same readership base we had when we went into it, then that counts as a half-decent result, I think. So what we haven't done, for example, is ramp up the number of advertising. I've seen quite a few business travel sites which have decided that as their advertising revenue is well down, they're just going to double or triple the number of advertising units on their site. That's just crazy. You know, we've just written off the advertising revenue, and we're not destroying the user experience. What we have done, we started pushing certain things a little more which pay quite well, certain promotions we have. So we're just trying to adapt, really. British Airways had a go off this month on buying Avios points, on which we get commission, so we've pushed that quite hard. That's worked quite well. So we're just really picking up money where we can, but really just making sure we're putting out good content day in, day out, irrespective of the money, and hoping that we have our readership base still there when we come back to all this. Because at the end of the day, getting frequent flyers to keep reading a frequent flyer news site when they're not flying isn't that straightforward. So you've got to keep good content going out.
Yeah, so the next question is kind of on travel ad spend. Obviously, you know, that's kind of been a big talking point. Obviously, you know, sort of ad spend's kind of been cut as much as 50%, or if not more. As kind of, you know, consumer flights have been cancelled, kind of bookings have been sort of shifted, vice versa. Kind of from your perspective, guys, is what kind of initiatives have you seen or are being rolled out to kind of encourage spend within the channel during this period? I'm gonna look at Colin, so I'm gonna go for Colin for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that it's, you know, really at this stage, it's maybe a little bit early. There hasn't been many positive initiatives that we've kind of picked up with. A few brands certainly now are starting to maybe have a look at the way forwards, but really, you know, the promotional messages have very been pushed back to kind of late summer, kind of winter sun, and you know, beyond that into 2021. So I think it's maybe a little bit early from an ad spend perspective. There's obviously quite a lot of talk around kind of free amending of bookings that have been had. I think from a direct affiliate perspective, I think one of the positives that we've seen is certain brands have said that they will honour commission even when there's been no product gone out, so a holiday hasn't gone out, or if amend is made to the booking, they will still honour the commission. So I think from that perspective, it's quite good. But I think certainly we've not really picked up any major changes in brand spend from the clients that we're dealing with.
No, great for that. Rob.
We're seeing some activity. There's a major airline we're talking to about a major campaign which we actually want to launch before people start booking again, really just to get themselves front of mind. Hotels.com, interestingly, has launched an offer this week, which they're paying us to promote quite heavily. It was quite nice to get in. Our first bit of proper sponsored content for about 8 weeks, I think. But it's difficult. I mean, we've really been focusing our discussions on people who are tangential to travel. So, British Airways has partnerships with people like, Hackett. If you shop at Hackett, you can earn Avios points with British Airways. And we can talk to Hackett now about possible promotions or tie-ups with their Avios offers. And they're receptible even. Whereas, the travel companies really aren't. There's also a real problem over people being furloughed. A lot of our usual contacts simply aren't in the office to deal with. And then if you can't get to the right people, it makes it even harder to discuss plans going forward.
Rob made a great point at the end there, especially within the partnership space. Not everybody, nobody, to be honest with you, is as responsive as you would be in usual times. A lot of people are taking on other efforts, and unfortunately, a lot of people within the travel industry, either on the advertiser side or indeed on the publisher side, or those kind of people in the middle, kind of like Lina, a lot of people have been furloughed. We've obviously seen the 100% refund guarantee put in place by a lot of people to kind of counterbalance the cautious approach from the consumer. We definitely also, regards to affiliate commissions, honoring all of the affiliate commissions that were booked for this season, regardless if they've been cancelled or not. I think in the circumstances, with us trying to grow our affiliate program quite aggressively, we wouldn't really be looking at doing it in any other way. It's the right way to do business. We're accepting that the COVID-19 wider effect is largely out of our control. We're trying to proceed with customers close to a business as usual approach without being ignorant of the challenges that are in the market. It's not in our thinking to startle and warn potential customers right now, and we've definitely seen bookings pick up in the last week or so, which is encouraging signs. We're taking a product first focus and adding as much as we can to the user experience, which then kind of, and I know we're going to go on to talk a little bit more about this, but diversifying what we're doing to be able to then come up with different campaigns that may work at this point, or have a different end goal than just booking a campsite on our website for the moment. And we're constantly reaffirming the customer that in the worst case scenario, they're always protected. They're not going to lose their booking deposit and that kind of thing. It is slightly too early to see where that hook has come from. That's really getting people to, in order for advertisers to spend again, people need to start booking again fairly soon after. And if they don't book, then you need to show those behavioral traits that we see in the data that happen before they book. And that would be anything from signing up to a newsletter to obviously adding to cart and seeing, what kind of the final cost will be when they eventually get there. There's an aspect of that, but it really depends. If you're in a position where you need to grow your brand or you don't, will affect how much you actually will increase spend within this challenging period. We've tried to keep it open, but there are aspects of business that just are undeniably hit at the moment.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks, Eoin. That was a good insight there. Cool, and that kind of touches on to the next question, which is kind of touched on affiliate programs now. And yes, I think Colin mentioned earlier about sort of suspension of affiliate programs, which has been a key kind of it's been a talking point over the last few weeks, and I know we had a discussion in our recent panel about this actually. And the key thing that kind of came out of it was kind of communication and how that's been communicated to partners. You know, basically some have done it really well and others haven't. So yeah, it'd be good to kind of touch on this question. You know, how can we kind of protect kind of those kind of partnerships or those affiliate relationships to ensure that the travel industry survives this period of uncertainty? Rob, I'm going to start you off with this one. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this has been very frustrating for us. I mean, fundamentally, we are producing a pay on sale stream of business for people. So logically, you shouldn't even be cutting off the funnel. You know, if we can keep driving business, hotel bookings, flight bookings for later in the year, early next year, then why shouldn't we be paid? We're only getting paid on success. Just cutting your commission to zero purely because your marketing budgets have been cut. I mean, monkeys. I mean, we've stopped our marketing budget. If somebody wants to deliver me some new advertising tomorrow, I'll happily pay them a nice big commission on it. It's just illogical. But fair enough, I understand why it happens. But the big problem then is, I mean, we touched on this before, setting your commissions to zero is actually my preferred way of doing it, because the cookies still track, and as soon as the program restarts, we'll start earning money from the date restart because we have cookies already placed. What people are doing, especially Eoin, in my experience, is just turning off links completely. I mean, for Hilton example, we have 200 different Hilton affiliate links on our site, pointing mainly to 200 different Hilton hotels we've written about. When the Hilton program stopped, all those links broke and they were sending out 404 errors. So we had to go back and change over 200 links. When the program restarts, there'll be no active cookies on anyone's computers. So even though Hilton has a good 30-day cookie period, it's going to take a month to ramp up commission again. If they just set their commission to nothing, then the links could have stayed intact, no admin work required on our side, and as soon as commission was put back again, we start earning on day one. That's my biggest gripe, really. I mean, but one, you shouldn't stop the programs in the first place, but two, if you are stopping them, just zero the commission and don't cause anyone excessive administration.
Cool. Thanks for that, Rob. Eoin, would you care to add to that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually agree with Rob there. Myself and Colin actually had a conversation fairly early on when lockdown hit in about this kind of subject of people shutting down, slashing commissions, and even stopping their CPA models. And to me, it was just still absolutely nonsensical. I don't understand why anyone would do that. Obviously, everyone can understand why people may not have the budget to lay out for tenancies for booking. There's a bit of logic behind that. I honestly don't see too much risk involved in having CPA. Yes, it leads to admin work if you have to cancel, but it's a risk reward balancing act there, and the reward far outweighs the risk in my point of view. On the affiliate side of things, we have tried to leverage our CPA partnerships at this time. In France, that is easier said than done to strike up CPA deals. The media space in France hasn't really adjusted to that model as quick as, say, the US or UK. But we also understand that this is a hugely difficult time for our publishers and affiliates, and not just in travel. Obviously, the big headline breaking one was the Amazon slashing commissions at a time where large amounts of their business is actually increasing, which doesn't seem fair in a partnership model. And you're kind of, I don't think it's fair to people who've helped build to the behemoth that Amazon has now become. Affiliates was a big part of that in the associates program. A key consideration for affiliates in some areas is how they're rectifying their own traffic issues. So it's great to hear Rob holding on to and actually increasing some of his traffic at the moment, and that's been great, and that will stand him in good stead coming off the back of this. But we will see scenarios where some publishers find themselves in a position where their traffic is significantly decreased or indeed increased when some wider level of normality resumes, and what they were ranking for in the first position, they may be in the 5th position coming out of the back of this or on the 2nd page. The consumer searches will return, and I think as a whole it can be viewed as an opportunity for publishers as long as they have the ability to keep going. We've kept our program open, and what we've been sure to do is maintain communication lines with affiliates. and put plans in place for allocating budget towards them in the very near future in terms of fixed fee stuff and continuing with the CPA stuff. This gives them a semblance of security and knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel, like I mentioned earlier. You know, but we do realize we work with some family content publishers, and you know, their audience at the moment, they're not thinking too much about travel. They're thinking about, how do I keep my kids entertained at home? How do I work from home effectively whilst having kids at home? And how do I keep my kids safe in a scenario where, you know, public safety and public health is the primary concern? They have to deliver content that, you know, resonates with their users. And you know, we talk about affiliates like Mumsnet. You know, they have to put that kind of stuff out there in order to keep relevant to their users. And you know, I know it's not the time to press affiliates to be thinking about, hey, can you try a CPA campaign to drive something, drive sales on our side right now? You know, that time will come. It will come when the people are starting to be let back out into the wider world and continue their daily lives, and then that will be the opportunity for Campsided to, you know, really have the optimum time to place the right content with the right people at the right time. You know, like I said, we have to curate our relationships at the moment to make sure that we're not being unrealistic what we expect from publishers at this moment, and also that, you know, they're being appreciative of the fact that we're not drilling into publishers and being that AM that hassles you and is kind of constantly on top of you when you have far bigger concerns in your wider business.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks, Owen. Colin, do you sort of share similar views on that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with both of these guys, what they've said. I mean, you know, obviously it's very difficult for brands, particularly those who have furloughed their marketing teams, to administer their programs. But, you know, the idea of pausing programs or closing programs temporarily is particularly hurtful to content publishers. You know, we have, you know, so much content around brands. You know, when they suddenly turn off their program, the maintenance involved, I think Rob touched on it as well, you know, is massive, and it just creates another headache. And it, you know, in theory, it should be a partnership, and the idea that we get paid for our traffic is, you know, something that it looks like travel brands are very much at their last thoughts in terms of protecting their own cash flow, their own budgets, and not really with a long-term view that actually this is hurting their publishers. So, you know, it's, you know, I guess zeroing commission is better than pausing programs, as Rob said. You know, the last thing you want to do is ruin the user experience of clicking on a link and finding that it's dead. But ideally, we don't want that either. You know, we want to be paid at least something, even if it's a reduced commission. I think the idea that actually communication to publishers could be better for a lot of brands. Again, difficult when those marketing people aren't in place. But really, you know, we need to try and build a stronger relationship with publishers so that they can actually understand what hurt this is doing to their businesses. You know, cash flow is king for, you know, any publisher of all of our types. And, you know, if we know that we will bounce back, but in the short term, we're going to have 2-3 months worth of reduced revenue, we've got to find a way through that. And particularly in travel, where, you know, we're not being paid commission until people travel in the most part, you know, we're going to have a shortfall at some point. And it's a question of whether brands are prepared to actually sit down with publishers and find a way through that, so that when the bounce back comes, you know, we're able to find a path through it. And that may be that there's a short-term alternative payment model put in place, or, you know, tenancies come back at some level. You know, it's going to be very difficult to get through that period, but I'm kind of hopeful that there will be pragmatic brands who will be willing to sit down and discuss it, because I think people aren't going to give away their, you know, their leisure travel. And so, you know, we've already started to see a little bit of a bounce back in terms of people searching, certainly on whether to travel for destinations, you know, in future months. So we would expect that will go hand in hand with bookings over time. But yeah, definitely needs to be something that the brands are thinking about now, rather than leaving it to the middle of July or even to August before they start thinking about their publishers.
Yeah, from an advertiser point of view, we have had to stop our program purely because we're not because we can't afford to keep running that. We're seeing cancellations come through. We've had to turn off our travel insurance channel for a period of time whilst those partners had to review all their terms and conditions. That's now back online. So because we're not getting anything back, we can't afford to keep running a loss. From a publisher's perspective, we've been trying to be as flexible as we can with our partners. So, and quite a lot of our relationships are direct relationships already. So most part, they've been really good at communicating with us. Obviously, it still hurts us when people have cut their commissions, but they've been pretty good in most parts, and we understand the situation, so it's fine. But I like the fact that where Owen's saying that he's actually speaking to publishers and putting recovery plans, because that definitely gives us confidence that when things come back, we can, it'd be nice to start planning this type of activity where tenancies and things can come back. So that's really good to hear that some advertisers are thinking like that.
Lina. Cool. No, thanks for that, guys. That was some good answers to that question there. Cool. And sort of next question, kind of touching on kind of consumer behavior. Obviously now it's kind of with restrictions in place, obviously people have obviously kind of cancelled bookings and actually sort of staying staycations, as you could say, kind of seeing more kind of innovative experiences closer to home, whilst we're sort of kind of experiencing lockdown. So do you reckon, I guess I'll start this off with Lina, from a kind of brand perspective, would you reckon this is a prime opportunity for brands or advertisers now to kind of start kind of being creative and innovative with their offerings?
Yeah, I think the brands that start to think creatively will have their trade come back a lot quicker. So, starting to think about what products they're selling and what we're dealing with this in current climate. So you see the likes of holiday parks starting to think about how they can socially distance. And I think, things like camping and that has been in the news recently as well. That and I saw today caravan sales have gone up quite a lot. So I think brands that start to think about how this situation has affected the way people are going to be traveling in the short term definitely are going to start to see increases as lockdowns, starts to get easier. But in terms of us, we are looking at the UK. We've got a UK holidays page, and we have seen traffic to that increase. So we are starting to see consumers probably start, researching that product a bit more, and we are looking at re-engineering that page as well, just to to allow more products on there and just give customers more the choice, considering what's happening in the world at the moment. But it doesn't stop us continuing are looking at package holidays and still focusing there for future.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks, Lina. Owen, coming from sort of campsited perspective and also just generally, do you reckon it's a time for brands to kind of be a bit more creative in their offerings?
Well, yeah, it definitely is. One thing I would say is, we've always had to think about this, how we serve our domestic market, and the closer to home business, as you mentioned in the question. 80% of our business comes from domestic travelers, and that's what you get within the camping industry. So, we saw in times where in 2009, for example, it's a great example where camping in both the UK and France took a 33% increase on the previous year. And that was purely down to the fact that people were financially constrained to actually be able to go abroad. So when you add to that the fact that there's a lot of safety concerns around flight travel, especially for families at the moment, it's quite possible you're going to see an even bigger increase this year. From an actual diversity and creativity standpoint, Campsite has become the first marketplace that, you know, where we book campsites globally to launch car rentals and tours and activities in the past few months. And we have an exciting suite of other products that we're going to be bringing to market around that. And, you know, like I said, speaking earlier about diversifying what we're able to offer, also diversifies the partners we're able to work with. You know, we know, for example, 70% of camping bookers also book activities in the immediate area close by. So, you know, you have to think outside the box of just getting people into the beds that we're selling. You know, you have to sell the experiences on their holiday and everything around that, or be in a place where you can communicate to your customer about, you know, what they can do, providing the whole holiday experience right the way through until they return home from it. You know, it's something that's, you know, there is going to be a hook that goes out there within each specific niche within travel. There's going to be a hook that really grabs people, and it's too early to say what that is, but it's either going to be you or one of your competitors that comes up with it. And obviously we all aim for that to be you. You know, we've all had conversations with our friends and family about, can't wait to go on holiday, can't wait to do this, can't wait to do that when this all ends. Who's going to be the person to come up with the creative and the, you know, actually position a product in a way that they've become the person within their niche to actually grab that attention and become I suppose the winner off the back of a horrible situation that nobody wished for. You know, it's the reality of the market, is we're entering into a new market, and you know, diversifying what you offer or positioning it in a new way, because, you know, people, especially our audience, you know, families are always cautious about how they book with regards to safety. That's going to be increasing tenfold now, and we need to be conscious of that.
Great stuff, thanks, Eoin. Colin, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, travel is all about trust, right? So, you know, if you're going to be booking your main vacation with your family, you want to make sure that you're safe, secure, you know, whether it be a camping holiday or, you know, a hotel resort. You want to know that you're going to be okay. And, you know, so for consumers to do that, brands are going to have to find ways, you know, and some of them will be innovative to make that the case. You know, we've already seen, I think it's today, IHG come up with a clean promise to implement the changes in their hotels to make sure that their customers are happy and secure there. And I think that's something that we're going to see more of. There's going to be initiatives coming out all the time from brands, obviously airlines. The spotlight will be on airlines, will be on airports, anywhere where there's a, you know, obviously a crowd and queue and touch points. And obviously it goes all the way through to resorts, restaurants, you know, so I think we'll see a lot of changes in the coming months. It's moving very quickly, and I think, you know, from our perspective, we've just got to make sure that we're doing what we can to help people decide where they go on holiday. You know, we realized quite early on that you know, travel advice was going to be important, so we set up a new section on the site looking at where to get information for whichever destination you want. And we also identified that staycations are more likely to be recover sooner than other destinations. So, you know, we invested quite a lot of time early on in the shutdown to enhance our UK offering and Ireland offering, and make sure that, you know, when the bounce back comes, you know, we've got the destinations and products in place to help users to, you know, to find what they're looking for.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks, Colin. And Rob, kind of sharing your thoughts on that one. I know there's like, I think I caught your recent interview with the BBC. They mentioned about sort of the BA already sort of shifting, you know, coming up with sort of new sections around their business class seats and stuff as well. So it's kind of more wider perspective once kind of things kind of bounce back. But I guess the rise of staycations and stuff, would you agree in terms of brands kind of shifting and being more creative?
I'm hoping not, purely because it's very, very hard from an affiliate perspective to actually monetize staycations. You know, in general, the UK holding market is still dominated by independent, small hotels which aren't part of major affiliate programs. It's not like Thailand, where you've got Hilton Resort, Conrad Resort, Marriott Resort, or next door, which you can monetize. You know, you can't get any money off most of the UK seaside hotels. Obviously, there's no money, no flight commission on those bookings. Are people going to book their train through affiliate links? Probably not. Let's go straight to the train company website. So I simply don't see the staycation market being a decent money spinner for us. Potentially, we could approach a few key hotels we know and say, look, do you want to do some sponsored content? But even then, we said us might open. It won't be open until the start of July. So even that won't be a revenue stream for us until late July at best. You can't review a hotel that's not open. So it's difficult. I mean, I'm relying on the fact that most British seaside hotels are so unbelievably dreadful that people simply won't want to go on holiday in the UK, is what they say. And as soon as the options are available to disappear to a nice internationally branded resort in Spain or Greece or Italy or wherever, then I'll do it. I
mean, I think I read yesterday that Spain are potentially opening travel visits potentially in a few.
Yeah, people do. The idea that even if the government tries this quarantine thing, as long as it's not within 2 weeks of the kids going back to school, then frankly, I'm at home all day as it is anyway. So you can put me in 2 weeks quarantine if you like, having a Spanish holiday. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. As long as my kids aren't meant to be back at school, it doesn't affect my kids. So I think people to do it if the flights are available. I mean, the airlines will be able to run the flights. No one's stopping them. So it's like the government saying you'll be in quarantine, the British public saying, tough, we're going to go anyway. That's what I'm hoping for.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks for that. I feel that kind of ties in, with the. I know there's a question I got on personalization, which I was going to actually jump on now, because we're sort of touching on kind of consumer behavior and kind of more rise in staycations and vice versa, or shift in holiday trends. So it's kind of personalization, I guess. This is kind of more kind of the kind of user and those that sort of book in holidays. Will it become an essential role for travel companies in enhancing their performance marketing strategies and also engaging with kind of just consumers during this period or just over the next few weeks? Colin, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, personalization is obviously crucial for all of our businesses, but I would say that some broad strokes probably look at the last recession for the likely trends and where we're going to go, particularly in leisure. I would expect if we go into even a deep short recession, people are going to be driven by the demand to escape. They're going to be looking to potentially find a bargain. Are a little bit in two minds of whether or not prices will be high or prices will be low, depending on how the bounce back is and how many flights are out there. But I would imagine that leisure travel will return, and putting the consumer at the center of our strategy for helping them find the right kind of information from official data sources, make sure that we're avoiding the kind of misinformation that seems to be out there quite often at the moment. There's a lot of speculation, and I think we need to steer clear of that and make sure that we're dealing in facts. None of us have been through this before, so there's definitely a place to make sure that the information that we're putting out there is trustworthy. Obviously, things like Google Trends are great to see generally what people are looking for when. And just the idea that we need to be really flexible with our products and make sure that if something changes on a particular destination or a particular type of product, we can adapt quickly. Imagine there's probably going to be a few socioeconomic groups who will want to go away. I think, as Rob said, the idea of escaping at some point, they will have budget to spend. So if there is the potential for escaping, as long as they're not going to get arrested when they come back to the UK, they will almost certainly want to go away. So I think, trying to be positive about the way forward, but I would imagine that, we will see a demand there the moment the travel restrictions are lifted.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks, Colin. Yeah, Rob, kind of what are your thoughts? Do you reckon personalization will become a thing in brand sort of strategies and sort of engaging more consumers?
Well, we generally have readership which likes to do their own thing anyway. You know, a lot of our readers will use their frequent flyer miles from work trips to book flights for a holiday. So by default, they're sort of putting their own package together, you know, perhaps paying for a hotel, but getting the flights for nothing. But I don't know. I mean, true is, whilst people always say the package holiday market is effectively dead, there's, you know, in dodgy economic times, your best safety method actually is booking a package, because the at-all guarantees if your company fails are fantastic, frankly. You know, if you book standalone flights, standalone hotels, it can be very, very difficult to get your money back. A lot of people have had, you know, in British Airways, for example, you know, British Airways holidays is repaying people as they have to by law in cash, literally the day after their holiday is cancelled. British Airways, the airline, is making it very, very difficult to get your money back. I think a lot of people will think, well, you know, actually, I quite like doing my own thing, but at the moment, perhaps I want to book a package, take what's offered, and at least I know if the tour operator goes down the toilet, then I will get my holiday somehow.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks, Rob. Lina, what are your thoughts on that? Do you reckon, from a brand perspective, personalization will be an element in their strategies?
Just to clarify what you mean by personalization, that is serving customers with deals unique to them.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah, because I just think from a meta search perspective, I mean, there's 3 ways people search on our site. Most people want to come and just perform a search. So they'll just search a destination, the dates they want to go, and their family size, and they'd like to more be in control and drill down rather than be given product. That's majority of our site. 80% of our site works like that, and then I would say 20% is where we would put deals on. I think personalization is difficult because consumers might take multiple trips for different reasons. So you might be going on a work trip, but then also booking your family holiday and might going away with friends. And I think, you know, those all different require different products, and how do you actually understand what that customer wants in that point of time? So the way that we try and look at it is more around giving a customer's ability to search and drill down based on their need at that time, rather than presenting them unique deals, because I think it's hard to predict what each customer is coming to do on our site every time they hit it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That's a good thoughts and insight there. Eoin, do you reckon personalization will see more of it potentially?
Yeah, it really depends on the type of business, I think. You know, personalization can come in a variety of ways through the marketing channel. Obviously, the email marketing channel has excelled with certain products when taking a personalized approach, segmenting users to a very specific level and customizing your communication accordingly for that kind of user. This is something that can be replicated within paid spend and affiliate to a certain degree, but you'll never have the bandwidth and the attention span to do what is done in email. You know, within the affiliate channel, you can go very niche with the type of publishers that you're working with, but they might be high, like we said, it could be a very low traffic site, but a kind of a high quality of a niche user that's relevant to only some of your products. And, you know, if you have the bandwidth to go, you know, go after affiliates who may only be able to drive 5-10 bookings a year, but, you know, those guys are as valuable if you start to really work with them, and they're very flexible. You know, they're great to have this conversation with brands that are on board. So within the affiliate channel, small publishers with a very loyal and kind of niche audience can be a very powerful. You're never going to drive, you know, a couple of thousand bookings a year with that, because that's how you do it within the affiliate channel. I think for the hotel and the flight companies, the regularity of their users will definitely give them greater scope to personalize. You know, hotel, if you're loyal to a hotel booking app, for example, like I use eBookers quite a lot. That, you know, you probably book 10, 11, 12, 13 times a year, you know, maybe more, maybe less. You know, I travel for business a bit, but, you know, not a huge amount, you know, so they have a lot of data on me that's able to be personalized and present different options to me when they're marketing. You know, for us being relatively new in the camping space, we still have a huge chunk of the 4.5 billion euro a year opportunity to cast a wide net with. So as such, it forces us, we can't ultra personalize when there's a lot of the market still out there for us to mobilize and put online. Typically our product is booked once, maybe twice a year. We have camping enthusiast families that might book at Easter and they might book again at summer. Easter went out the window this year, so you can forget about that. And then you might have avid campers who book 3, maybe 4 times a year. However, our experience tends to be a lot longer. A much higher average basket value, and it leaves a longer lasting impression. It's a holiday versus a night in a hotel, or it's a holiday versus a flight. So whilst we don't have as much data, particularly on the users, purely because the product is only booked once, twice a year by a customer rather than 9, 10 times by let's say a hotel booker, we're still able to personalize across different elements of the journey, all the way through, like I said, to the end, and capturing. That's what helps capture that booking next year again, So, there are opportunities. Some brands will definitely, make a lot of money off the back of it with personalization, but, it's not the only trick in the book for a marketer.
Cool, great stuff. Thanks, Eoin. I think I've just got a couple more questions, but I thought, because I'm just looking at time, so I thought this will kind of wrap it up really with the last question, which I'll answer to all of you. Is kind of we sort of covered quite a bit already about the travel sector and providing your perspectives in terms of what your businesses are doing, and also kind of wider perspective of how the industry is kind of shifting and adapting over the last few weeks and sort of in the coming months as well. So kind of bringing all that together, sort of with the kind of global climate set to change the industry indefinitely. How can companies ensure they kind of stay relevant? As things adapt, as everyone continues to adapt. So, I guess Rob, what are your thoughts? Kind of, how do you ensure everyone kind of stays relevant in the coming months?
Well, it is arguably difficult to stay relevant if you're running a website aimed at frequent business travelers who fly a lot. There's obviously, there are a lot of people who would like to see that entire sector disappear entirely. And realistically, there will be fewer people traveling, fewer bubbles and seats, fewer planes in the sky, fewer heads in beds. How do you respond to that? And I suppose my sort of comfort blanket is that we run a very successful business on a relatively small market share. The percentage of heavy business travelers in the UK who read us on a regular basis is, low single digits. So if we can just keep doing our stuff, and even if the whole business travel market falls down a bit over the next couple of years, we only need a very small market share to keep doing as well as we are doing now. So I think we'll be okay. We're not Expedia. The market can shrink and we can still grow. But that's the benefit of being a small company.
Cool. Thanks for that, Rob. Eoin, kind of what are your thoughts on that question?
Look, it's unprecedented times, and you have to test different ideas, and trying new stuff has the potential to deliver great returns. With crisis comes tremendous opportunity. We've all heard that saying before, and I think it's very relevant to marketing teams at the moment. It's difficult. Like I spoke earlier about, having that hook that will basically lure the customer in, you'll hit the right message that will definitely resonate with that customer. The customer's opinion has changed, and the customer's mind frame has changed right now. The brands that adapt the most to that mind frame, certainly for the 2020 season, are the ones who are going to come out of the back of this stronger. For a lot of brands, 2020, like what they're able to salvage from the rest of 2020 will depict whether they're even in business next year. Even something, like an influencer video or something, like staying at one of your accommodations, communicating the message to their audience that everything is fine, safety measures are in place, we've had a great time, and in this current time, it's the best opportunity, or it's the best experience that we could have seen at this time. Anything like that could be hugely successful if conducted and communicated in the right way. Like I said, really understanding what you're able to do in that space and monitoring your competitors as well. Stay on top of what your competitors are doing in this space. They have the ability to move ahead when you've committed your marketing towards an angle, or let's say a more common aspects of marketing that maybe won't resonate as much on the back of this. It's definitely time for diversification, offering new products. I know a lot of brands have gone heavy on the integration side of things and making sure that the product is better when the customer comes back than when they left. And, we've definitely taken that approach at Campsited as well. It's like, if you can't work on getting bookings in, then make sure that it's easier for them to do bookings in the future. Like I said, appeal to a different audience. You've got 3 ways that you can grow as a business, and it's either sell new products to a new customer, sell an existing product to a new customer, or sell your existing customer a new product. And, there's different ways that you can challenge that and come at it from your own business and start tapping into different little niches and aspects of the wider commercial market that you weren't doing.
Cool. Thanks, Owen. No, that was great. Lina, just summarize that. Last question is kind of, how do you think companies should stay relevant in the sort of as things change?
I guess really keeping up to date with travel advice as it emerges, because it is coming every hour or all the time. So just making sure you're up to date and what's happening. Ensure that companies can be agile and move quickly as trends emerge, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And as things change, new ideas and new products could be emerging in a situation. So just keep that, and be prepared to move strategy. So we might have to stop something that you're working on to take advantage of a new idea, and also be flexible and communicate regularly with partnerships. So understanding people's situations, and try and be flexible as we can. So we try and be flexible with the commercial models that we operate with our partners, helping them through this time, and just there's different ways that we can work together. It's just finding a way, and the only way we will know that is by communicating.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks, Lina. And Colin.
Yeah, I mean, pretty echoing everything the others have said. It's a fast-moving world out there, particularly in travel. So as far as we're concerned, we need to adapt quickly to changes. Kind of also need to avoid kind of that knee-jerk reaction to a news story. So getting actually information about what's happening on the ground within different destinations. Obviously, everyone's searching for what are going to be the safe destinations to go on holiday. Is it going to be the islands? Is it going to be people with low case rates? Is it going to be particularly hot countries? There's evidence around that as well. So I think we have to make sure that we kind of cut through that. Look for trends, avoid the speculation, and deal in facts, and obviously then represent that out to our readers to make sure that they're essentially feeling confident that they can trust the holiday destination that they pick, and that they feel safe and secure when they go away. I think from a consumer perspective, they need to be better informed. They need to feel safe, less afraid, and but maybe a little bit more aware of their environment, so that when they're traveling through airports, when they're traveling on a train, when they're staying in a hotel, that whatever the new procedures that are put in place, they're comfortable with that, and nothing comes as a surprise when they go away. And I think then we can kind of minimize the risk, and hopefully avoid a second wave, and people can still travel and go on holiday. And I think the things that we're putting in place hopefully will help that, and we'll see that bounce back to leisure travel sooner rather than later.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks, Colin, for sharing your insight there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for sharing some really, really great insight and answering our questions we had today, and yeah, I think overall, obviously it's been has been a tricky period, well, for all sectors really, not just travel. But I do generally believe, things will bounce back. It's just a bit of a turbulent period, but I think as you guys have all kind of pointed out, with the strategies and affiliate sort of program relationships and stuff, and also I think just being adaptive, and I think we'll come through. Or the travel sector definitely will come through over the next few weeks, because things will have to go back to normal at some point. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really strange time. But no, things do have to go back to normal eventually. How long that will take, we don't know, but hopefully in the coming weeks. So appreciate your time, guys. So thank you again. Thanks for joining in the performance marketing spotlight discussion. And also apologies on the technical difficulties earlier on. But we got through at the end, which is great. Thanks again to Colin, Eoin, Rob, and Lina. And then we'll wish you guys all keeping well and safe in your respective roles and companies. We'll speak to you soon, I guess.
Thanks
Thanks,
for stopping.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Good to
Thanks,
speak.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Guys, thank you.